topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good afternoon, Dallas, Fort Worth. Actually, good afternoon, Texas. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where we bring you, for the last 16 years, the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. We get literally hundreds of emails and text. You are so good at that, and you keep asking us to add new shows, new show topics. We stay pretty much full without a way to add new topics. But we lost one of our experts, very sad story, not going to get into it, and it left us an opening. We went back and looked at where most of our letters come from, asking us to add a show on buying and selling a business. And we made a decision that we were going to fill in that spot with one of the greatest business brokers in the state of Texas. It's called the Vant Group. And we were so lucky to get such a great company. And this is our first show doing a business broker show. We are so excited. Actually, I've already gotten 6 or 7 emails thanking us for adding a show like this. Again, the name of the company is the Vant Group, and we have the founder, Alex Vantekis. I hope I pronounced that right. Good afternoon.
Good
Alex.
afternoon, Steve. You know what? That's close enough. I've been called a lot worse. It's
Hey, listen, you and I
right.
have a very long last name, and I changed it about 15 years ago and came up with my radio name, but I know what it's like having a long last name. Alex, we are so excited about your show. Tell people about the Vant Group.
Absolutely. So I was in corporate America for a couple years out of school, and I realized that it's just not for me. You know, some people are okay being an employee, and I think that's wonderful, but other people, they just aren't. They're wired differently. And one day I decided to buy a business. I went online and I had very little money down, and I bought a business in 1998. It was a cleaning business, and I sold it a year later because I didn't realize how much I didn't know about owning a business. But I got so enamored with the process of buying and selling the company, that I just decided this is what I'm going to do for my life. And I started in September 1999.
Wow.
Yep.
Hey, Alex, I got to share this with you because I understand where you're coming from. I owned a business in Plano, Texas, and I was going to try to sell it myself. I didn't know what a business broker was. And what happened was I was getting phone calls, and sometimes employees would answer the phone, like, what's going on here? I'd get people who I'd call tire kickers. It was the biggest waste of time. A friend of mine said, why don't you get a business broker? I had no idea even that existed. But I got to tell you, when I hired a business broker at the time, what a difference it was, Alex. It made my life so much easier.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, the process of selling your business seems relatively easy, right?
Yes.
If I can sell a house, or if I can sell a car or a piece of land, well, you know what? All of those have very definitive values. There's very little question when you look up a house on MLS. you're going to be plus or minus $1 a square foot. Well, when it comes to businesses, these are living, breathing businesses. They're not stagnant. There are so many different ways to value and price a business that a business could literally be worth zero to you and be worth $10 million to somebody else. So, having a broker, and, the word business broker carries not a lot of good feeling in the community. So for what it's worth, we're M&A advisors. M&A stands for mergers and acquisitions. Candidly, we do the same thing as business brokers, except we do it from an investment banking kind of Wall Street point of view. So we just bring a very sophisticated level of service down to the business broker community. And that's kind of what sets us apart. But, you can sell anything on your own. You can operate on yourself too if you want, but most people don't do that. They go to a doctor. And that's kind of why it's necessary.
Alex, I have so many questions for you, and we're starting to get emails in. But the first question I've got to ask, when someone starts a business, it's like their baby. And then when it's time to sell, sometimes they think their baby is worth a lot more than reality. How do you deal with that?
Well, first, I want to politely and gently correct you. You said sometimes they think it's worth more. I apologize. The word is always think that it's worth more. I'm be candid with you. It's a very unpleasant conversation, right?
Yes.
I'm in the process of creating a relationship and a bond with this person, and we're vibing. And then I see the numbers, and then I know what the value is in the back of my mind. And I can see this poor seller across from me touting his business. The more a seller talks about how good their business is, usually the less valuable it is. So, unfortunately, those conversations happen all the time. How do we deal with it? With truth and honesty and facts. What do I mean by facts? So anytime somebody comes to work with us, the first thing they have to do is get a business valuation assessment. It's the same as a business valuation, except the assessment part means that we outline all of the factors that increase and decrease the value of the business and what you can do to adjust the value. It's an amazing report. I recommend everybody gets it. So as soon as we do the valuation report, in the valuation report, we pull something called comparables. Just like in real estate, you can go to MLS. Well, in our industry, I can go and pull comparables in an industry. Well, then we go to a banker and we provide the package to the banker, and we ask the banker what they think it's worth. Because everybody thinks the buyer and the seller are the most important people in the transaction. It's really the banker. If you can't get funding, right? You don't want to sell your business owner financing. That's crazy. So you got to get bank financing. So we take the comparables, we take the bank letter, and then we take our experience and we say, listen, we totally understand that this falls short of your value by X number of dollars. Here's 10 other companies just like yours. Here's what they sold for. And here's what the bank said that it would lend for. Now, I've just presented a very logical answer to the question. I wish it went that smooth every time. And frankly, we lose a lot of clients. I'm not going to lie to you. My reputation is the most important thing in my life. It's not making money. It's not notoriety. It's my reputation. I'm not going to tell somebody I can do something I can't do. So if I say it's worth $3 million and you tell me you want $5 million, I can't work with you because I know what's going to happen. So I wind up losing a lot of those clients. Ironically, I see them on the listing websites just sitting there getting no activity because they're overpriced. And then a year later, the price will eventually drop down to what I said that it was. And that happens a lot. But again, I've got 100% satisfaction. I got, 150 5-star rating, something crazy like that. And truth is what we tell people.
Hey, just the fact of how long you've been in business, Alex, shows, because I know a lot of it is word of mouth too.
Absolutely. We won the Ethics Award in 2018. And it's amazing, how important values and ethics still are in this world. And It's hard to decipher between one broker and another, just like one attorney or another. We're not all the same. Unfortunately, God didn't make everybody equally talented. But luckily for us, we got a great team here. I have a partner and an analyst who basically do all the heavy lifting, right? And then I've got 5 managing directors that help clients sell their companies. But it all stems from the valuation, Steve. It's hard for a business owner who knows his business inside and out and is a proud, hardworking man or woman to be presented with facts that they don't like. That's obvious, right? But if you do it in a manner where you provide enough data that you can substantiate what it is, if you get a client interested in moving forward, the great news is we have almost 100% success. And that's what we want for everybody.
We just got our first text in from Houston, Texas.
All right.
Bob in Houston, thank you so much for bringing this show. I can't believe there hasn't been other shows like this. I am looking forward to this show. My question is, how do you know when it is time to sell your business and when to settle?
Well, Bob, first of all, that's a great question. I do a presentation called The Art of the Business Transfer, basically the whole process of selling a business. Do you know what chapter 1, slide 1, sentence 1 says? Why are you selling? That is the most important factor in the transaction. So Bob said, how do you know? I'll get to the how do you know, but let me tell you why it's important. If you don't want to sell your business, mathematically, it doesn't make sense to sell. What do I mean by that? Let's say you have a business, a smaller business that does $5 million in revenue and $500,000 in profit. Okay. That business is going to get roughly $2.5 million, roughly 5 times earnings. Okay. And after you take out taxes, let's say it's just capital gains, you're left with $2 million. So what do you think the thought process in my seller's mind is? Well, I make $500,000 now. If I get $2 million, that's 4. I might as well just I might as well just work 4 years. Okay. The seller that you just heard, that's not a seller. That's not a seller. Mm-hmm. That's somebody that is interested, but they're not a seller. And why that's important is if you're going to sell, you got to be all in, because people that don't want to sell, they're going to draw lines in the sand that are unrealistic. And you're going to wind up wasting a lot of time. How do you know when you should sell? Very easy. When you wake up and you would rather do anything in life rather than step foot in your business, number one, burnout. Burnout is the number one reason why people sell. Number one reason. The second reason that you know you should sell is when your business is growing too fast for you, right? You're getting orders and you can't get any more working capital or lines of credit to be able to fund all the AR and all the new inventory. And it seems like a great problem to have, except I've seen people run out of money as they were making millions of dollars on paper. So another one is kind of growing too fast. And then, of course, the reason that makes it easiest in a transaction is when the seller is of older age or unfortunately has some sort of health issue. Why would that be? It's not because they're piranhas, but it's because there's a lot of psychology in a buy-sell transaction, right? Steve-O, if you owned an amazing business and it was profiting every year and it was great and you had little involvement and made a lot of money, and I go to the table and I hear all this and I look at you and you're a young man, what do you think I'm thinking? Well, if it's so good, well, why in the world would he be selling it?
Right.
Right. So the psychology of these things is extremely important. Now, if I'm sitting across the same table and Steve-O is 80 years old and he's on a respirator, well, it's obvious that there's a legitimate reason. Now, there could be a legitimate reason when Steve-O's younger, but you have to slowly build down the walls of trust. And one of the reasons why we are so successful, I just told you how honest and direct we were with sellers. We are equally honest and direct with buyers. We will put in our packages. These are the 5 amazing things about this business. And then right under that, what do you think we put? These are the 5 weaknesses, or 6 or 10 or whatever the number is. Now, we're not dummies. All the weaknesses that we put, of course, we put a little action plan how you, the buyer, can turn these weaknesses into a strength. But the last thing that we want, Steve-O, is to do a transaction and not tell the buyer everything that we know he's going to look up in due diligence. And then a week before closing, he gets to that and we kill a deal. So what we do is we know all the good and bad about these businesses. And we make sure that we tell the buyer everything up front. And again, what does that do? That increases trust. And then, by the way, you'd be surprised. We have buyers trust us so much, they'll say something like this. Hey, do you think I should offer 2 million or 2.2? Because I really want this to. I know 2.2 is stretching it. Like, what do you think? And of course, we got to do the proverbial, let me really, you know what? Let me get back to you on that. It's 2.2. But I'm not joking. We've literally had buyers ask us to put in a letter of intent for them. Now, again, you got to understand the businesses that we represent are quality because we've done the valuation. The seller has a legitimate reason for selling, and the seller is okay with the valuation. And you go to I don't know how many businesses you've tried to find for sale, but for every one good deal out, no joke, there's 50 deals that really aren't good businesses.
Wow.
Yeah. And what's interesting is the supply is low. Are you ready? The demand is high. So we've got a business right now that has 4 years of declining revenue. Let me say it again. 4.
Wow.
We had 257 buyers interested in it.
For declining?
Now the cash flow only declined, a little bit each year, and the sales a little bit. But I mean, it's an obvious. Right. There's some sort of packaging company, but we had 257 inquiries. We had 6 LOIs. Like, there's a massive demand issue. Massive.
Wow. I've got so many questions, but we're getting all kind of texts from listeners and viewers. This is a 2-part question. One is, does your company do buying and selling businesses? And the second one is, what is a good business area to go into?
Phenomenal questions. So the Vant Group, the M&A firm, the business brokerage firm, we don't buy or sell any businesses. I'm sure that maybe she didn't mean that, but a lot of people assume that we also do that. Now, having said that, I actually personally buy and sell businesses. Some of the businesses that I see are so good, I actually negotiate with the seller before they come. Having said that, we do sell side work for somebody that does not have a buyer. They don't know the process. They don't have a buyer. We do facilitation. Somebody approached them. They don't know how much their business is worth and they need representation. That's called facilitation. And then we do employee and partner buyouts. That's obvious, employees and partners, okay? Then we do buy-side representation. The best way to build your business, not the best way, one way that every business owner should use to augment the growth of their business is through acquisitions. So we do buy-side work for corporations. So there was a lawn care business in Fort Worth that wanted a lawn care business in Dallas. We found it for them. We negotiated for them. We did the due diligence. We got bank financing and we did the legal work. So that's corporate. We also work with a lot of individuals like me. In 1998, when I was looking for a business and I didn't know what I was doing, I could have hired the Vant Group to guide them through the process. The second question was, what's the best type of business to be in, or best? It's kind of like dating. Everybody's got their own flavor and opinion, right? I will tell you my opinion, and then I will tell you what other people believe. In my humble opinion, and I have a little less risk than most, and I like cash flow maybe more than others. I buy service businesses only. So I'll give you an example. I bought a catering company, And why in the world would anybody do something so ridiculous? Because it had 30% profit to the bottom line.
Wow.
And before COVID hit, we were doing $3 million in revenue. So certain businesses do very well. Why did I like that business? It had very little hard assets, which means if I wanted to go from $1 million to $2 million, I buy a couple pots and pans, an oven, and a truck, and I just put $1 million of revenue down. Service businesses have a lower multiple because they have lower asset value. And in my opinion, service businesses are much easier to grow than a manufacturer or a wholesale or a construction. That's my opinion. Now, other people would say, look, I'm not buying a bunch of pots and pans. Give me something to touch and feel. Well, those guys are going to go buy asset-heavy businesses because they want to have something to feel and touch. But the best businesses, why don't I tell you the best attributes to look for, okay? Increasing revenue in the last 3 years, a workforce that on average has been there a considerable amount of time, same with the clients, accounts receivable that's under 30 days, some sort of recurring revenue. Those are probably the top 5. If you can find those 5, that is a strong, strong business.
You know, I got to tell you, Alex, when I was talking to Michael, I said, the show goes by so fast. Your show has gone by even faster. We're running your contact information on YouTube, but for all the people listening on iHeart, radio, Spotify, tell people how they can reach you.
Absolutely. Easiest way to reach me is email, alex@thevantgroup.com. You saw the company name on the bottom. It's a little hard to spell, but it's thevantgroup.com. I'd love to talk to anybody. I love talking about deals. If you got questions, even if you don't want to buy or sell, I'd love to talk to you. As a matter of fact, if you email me, I've written 2 books. One is called Entrance. That's for buyers. And Steve-O, what's the one for sellers called, you think? Entrance and Exit.
Ouch.
Yeah, I'm not that much of a marketing genius, so I came up with easy words. So if you email me, I will email you a PDF version of either or both of those books.
Well, I got to tell you, for your first show, I am amazed. We had some questions I wanted to get out. We're going to have to do it next month when you're back on. We already got 4 people saying your show's not long enough, but hey, he'll be back again next month. Alex, great job.
Amen.
We'll see you next month.
I can't wait. God bless everybody listening. Take care.
The Vant Group. Thank you. And we're going to go to break. When we come back, we've got more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.